All advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Oh, welcome back. Carl Rominger here, 540-0580. Or, for Jay's sake, 540-0580. And I was to say that. Jay, you know who you are. Not Jay the actor. The other Jay. The angry Jay who posts on my Facebook page. Why can't you people at WHP call a zero a zero? Always cracks me up. So just for him, I will call a Z or a 00, or however you want to do that. I'm in the middle of reading World War Z, by the way. It's a pretty good book. I'm also reading The Warmth of Other Suns, and I'm also reading something else as well. But long story short, no, it's not Playboy Advisor, Matt. Belinda, you're on the air. Belinda, you're on the air. What's up?
Yes. My daughter had a small fire back on October 15th in her kitchen. And there was no fire extinguisher in the kitchen of the apartment she rented. She went back in and put out the fire. And now we met with her landlord this morning. They've been cleaning up from the fire, and this morning they gave her a notice that she needed to be out by the 15th of November.
Okay. And is she on a lease?
She's on a month-to-month, and they're supposed to give her a 60-day notice that she's got to move.
How do you get on a month-to-month with a 60-day notice? How does that work?
That's just what she told me. She said that they told her that when she's been there 2 years, and they said when her lease expired, they said she could go month-to-month, but they would have to give her 60-day notice,
okay,
or she would have to give them 60-day notice to move. And I just wondered, like, right now she can't even live there. She's staying with friends, but she has 2 small children, and they said they were going to clean it up and she could move back in 3 weeks, but now they're saying they want her to move out.
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, does she really, can she, when's it going to be ready to be moved back in? When will it be ready to move back into?
They have not given her any idea.
Mm-hmm. And how much is it going to cost to do it, et cetera, et cetera. And even if she were to say let's say she came to me and I said, okay, I can force you back in, right?
Right.
But they still say we gave you notice, so the longer she could stay there 60 days anyhow.
Right.
So practically it just doesn't seem worth pursuing, does it?
Well, not really, but for the time being, she has no place to go, and she has a child who's in a school district in the apartment she's in, and
well,
she doesn't
and if they haven't repaired it, I don't think she should have to pay rent for the time that it's not habitable. Okay. Right,
but they're saying she can't even move back in while it's being repaired. That it's not habitable as of now.
Right. I understand, and I'm just saying I don't see a practical remedy here. I just don't see a practical remedy because you force your way back in, but they've already given her notice. So she can live in there for 45 days. She's better off to just find a place to live in the meantime. And look for another place that's more permanent.
Right. Well, that's what we wanted to know.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to do? Pay a lawyer $500 or $700 to get you back into a place that you only have a little bit of time left to live in anyhow? I mean, that's the thing. If you can't get an agreement with the landlord, if the landlord just mad at her, or the landlord just is. Yeah,
they're basically just angry that she had the fire, and they said to me, well, she should have known how to put the fire out. And I said, well, she should have been provided a fire extinguisher.
Right.
It's just kind of a back and forth.
Was it cooking fire?
It was a cooking fire.
Yeah. That's what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Also, just a little word to the wise, if she does get another apartment, or anybody out there who does an apartment, that's why you have renter's insurance, by the way, too, because when you have those little fires, that covers you for some of your losses and damages, and it might have even paid for her to have a place to stay. Okay?
Yes, I have checked into that now at this point. The worst part is that instead of just working with her till she can find a place, they want her out right away, which is going to be very difficult to find a place right away, and a lot of issues. I mean, she didn't lose a lot as far as personal property, the damage was to one wall in the kitchen and the ceiling tiles, but they've decided to take this opportunity to gut the entire apartment.
Right. Understand, and that's the problem, of course, also with having these short-term leases. So lots of lessons in this one.
Right.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. 540-0580. Michelle, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Attorney Rominger. Thank you for taking my call. And it's not pertaining to me. It's pertaining to my son and the gun law issue.
Okay.
Okay. Quickly, my son was employed by one of the tire stores on Jonestown Road here in Harrisburg. He is a licensed gun carrier. He's 24 years old. He's employed with them for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's carried the gun to work for the last 6 months or so. He has it locked in his car glove compartment. The car is not on the property. Long story short, he went into work on his day off with his gun on his hip to talk to his manager. The next day he was fired for bringing the gun to work.
Well, he was at his workplace to talk to his manager, right?
That is correct. He was not working that day. He was off. There was a situation at work the day before that happened. The gun was locked in his glove compartment. From what we understand, an employee that was there for a month felt threatened. So they called my son in to discharge him that day.
So they were planning on discharging him already that day.
I assume so. I would assume so. I think my question is, regarding this, they did contact Lower Paxton Township Police, and they got them involved, and they searched and searched. There were no legal reasons for them to do anything against my son. But do we have an employment issue? Do we have any wrongful termination?
He can apply for unemployment compensation. That's your remedy in Pennsylvania. And if the termination wasn't lawful or otherwise justifiable, then he can collect unemployment compensation.
That's where we stand. He has applied, but I'm just wondering. He has a 3-week-old daughter, as a matter of fact, and I think that was it in a nutshell. Now he is, of course, looking for other employment, but we do not have any legal recourse on the firing end of this. Correct? No,
because when you fire somebody, you can fire anybody for any reason, any time, as long as it isn't because they're a member of a suspect class.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. I appreciate your help. Thank you so much.
Take care. 540-0580. I want to remind you, if you need to liquidate an estate or business, call RJ Gold Auctions. RJ Gold is currently booking site auctions for November and December. But if you can't wait that long or you have some collectibles, he will purchase outright items such as medals, pins, patches, tokens, awards, and badges, and mass historical collectibles. And he can pay you right away. RJ Gold, 645-0061. He's on 6th Street in Harrisburg. Again, the number for RJ Gold Auctioneers. So if you have an auction you want to do, you want to know more about putting an auction together, or you just got some collectibles, you might want to see if RJ can pay you cash now. 645-0061, licensed auctioneer, AU 005798. November 14th in Carlisle, we've got 2 free seminars for workers' compensation, personal injury. Those are going to be held at 1 East High Street in Carlisle on November 14th. I'll be there. Fred Haight will be there. AJ Palutis will be there. So why don't you get down? You can learn more on Rominger Law on our news feed. We've got it up. I'll put it on my Facebook as well. And of course, you can go to paworkerscomphelpnow.com as well. See you after the break.
Let's return to Weekend Appointment with Carl Rominger on WHP 580.
Well, welcome back here. Carl Rominger, answering your legal questions, 540-0580. I just ran across an interesting... more than 1/3 of U.S. divorce filings in 2011 contained the word Facebook, according to a survey by Divorce Online. It's in the filing itself, because quite frankly, a lot of times the grounds and a lot of stuff doesn't even make the filing. So if 1/3 of the filings are actually showing the word Facebook, well, you know the rest. Ron, you're on WHP 580. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, about a year ago I lent a young lady some money, and she in return gave me some checks to cash at a certain time. She put dates on the checks. She has since left the area.
Okay.
And so I don't have the money. However, she still may own a home locally and therefore would provide a place where I could have something served. Now, here's my question. I took a check However, I understand that check, that promise to pay me with a date probably of January or something like that, should still be worth something to me if I can find her.
Yeah, you can still file a bad check criminal complaint against her, okay?
Yep.
I mean, she issued a bad check. Now, because it was, at the end of the day, it may be tough to ultimately prosecute her if she's going to claim at the time she wrote it, she intended for it to be good, so she wasn't issuing it at a time that she knew it was bad, okay?
Yeah.
But she's still going to have to answer to that. That'd be an affirmative defense, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she is now down in Virginia, or she's somewhere else. But I've talked to her on the phone until she canceled her cell phone contract a few months ago. But I thought at the very least that I would go cash the check, get it returned to me so that I have a bounce check for $2,600, which is the majority of what she borrowed from me. And now I would need to serve her somehow, or serve the house that I think she still owns.
No, let me explain something to you. There's an address on the check, right?
Yes.
Okay, under the bad check statute, you need only mail a notice to the address on the check. Under that, when you have to do it by return receipt requested and all this good stuff. What county do you live in?
The time of year last year that
What county do you live in?
Mountjoy Township. Her house is in Columbia.
I know. I assume those are both in Lancaster, but you got to listen to the question, boss. I said, what county do you live in, not what township, okay?
Yeah.
Now, Dauphin County District.
I live in Mountjoy. Let me turn off my. Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm on myself.
All right. I'm going to shut you down here in a minute. You're driving me nuts. All right. Here's the point. The point is, send a return receipt requested. Go talk to your local law enforcement or your district attorney's office and get a copy of what they want you to send. Send it. After enough time goes by, they can file a criminal charge against her. They can put a warrant in the system, and they'll eventually pick her up. All right. Too much feedback going on there. Ugh. You got to turn your radio down. Usually it's he didn't quite fit the stereotype of our callers who leave their radios up. We have a small subset of the callers, and I'll let the rest of you who listen to the show who've experienced that happen when poor Ken Matthews, or back in the day when the good Bob Durgan was on, and they would get the person, can you turn your radio? Huh? Turn my radio down? What? I can't understand you. No, you can't understand because there's a feedback loop. What's a feedback loop? I don't know. Just turn your radio down. I get somewhat amused. Which reminds me, I did say at the top of the hour, but I want to remind you again because I don't think I did them justice. Harrisburg Beer and Cigar. I was smoking one of their tasty cigars last night. They were over on Union Deposit Road. My brother's going to come down and visit in a few weeks here, and I'm anxious to take him over there because he hasn't been down to visit since I've been hanging out with those guys. And I told him he's going to have to come over and try some really good cigars. They're right over there off Union Deposit. So when you see the Lowe's and across the street is the restaurants and whatnot, just swing back in there, check it out. Check out the walk-in humidor and be sure and tell them Carl sent you, just so that they keep, my steady drip of cigars going here. So every once in a while it helps if you guys prove that people listen to this show. Well, before I was rudely interrupted by that call, I was making fun of the fact that these divorce filing site, Facebook, the other thing about Facebook is everybody thinks, well, it's very private. I've only let my 3 friends or my 10 friends see this. And my favorite question I got was, somebody at work who's friends of a friend of mine looked at something on my Facebook and showed it to my boss. Can they do that? I'm like, if somebody can get to it and they want to show your boss, they can show your boss. So you got to be careful what you write on there. There's always employers having issues. I've had people fired over what they posted on Facebook. Sometimes it's benign, like they just comment and say they're in favor of something. Most recently I had a personal episode where I had posted something on Facebook that I thought was funny, and it involved my buddy's business, and it was a picture from his restaurant. And I don't think he thought it was as funny as I did. And his spouse thought it was even less funny. But what you find out is some people now, he's a Facebook user. I don't think his wife was. What you find out is that people have different. So in the meantime, I'm explaining to somebody else, and I'm showing them Facebook, and this is a 35-year-old woman, and she's like, people put pictures of their kids on Facebook? I can't believe it. Who would put pictures of their kids on Facebook? And I'm like, okay, you're not a Facebook user either. So there are some miscommunications sometimes that go on, or people tend to, I call the older generation, they tend to take things too seriously, a little stuffy. And what do I mean by that? Well, you know, I think most of you know that if I post something on Facebook, I might be trying to make a political point, I might be sharing something funny, or if I make a snide comment or a humorous comment, it might not necessarily be what I truly believe, or it might not be meant to be taken terribly seriously. But for some people, for some reason, people get to be my mother's age. They think that everything you post online is a accurate reflection of your true beliefs, and therefore, you know, just giving a thumbs up to something funny online means that you somehow endorse the, you know, setting the dog on fire and letting it run through the neighborhood or something. And obviously, we don't do that because we're animal lovers here at WHP 580. I think even somewhere around here they have their PETA memorabilia on the wall, right by the picture of RJ, I'm sure, and the Geico lizard. But anyhow, I digress. But I think you understand what my point I'm trying to make here. And we can even talk about Twitter too. You know, you post something funny on Twitter, next thing you know, it's in the national news, and they're making fun of you on the Deadspin.com. But hey, who hasn't had that happen to them in a year or so? 540-0580. If you want to get a legal question answered, now's your chance to bust in here. And we got some open phone lines, and we'll get you on. We'll talk about it. If you've been in a car accident, you want to know how to collect money in a personal injury. If your neighbor's tree fell on your house, if you want to get divorced, if you're trying to figure out what is marital property and what isn't marital property, those are all things that we can talk about here on the air. And, of course, if you have other legal questions, we'll figure out the answer. We don't always know the answer, but we try to find it if we can. What else was I going to talk to you guys about? Oh, Metcalf here in Harrisburg, one of the representatives, I think it's Daryl Metcalf, is calling for Kathleen Kane's impeachment because she's refusing to defend gay marriage. Or defend gay marriage? No, she's refusing to defend Pennsylvania's Defensive Marriage Act, essentially, by allowing a gay marriage lawsuit to go forward without her defending it. They were talking about this yesterday on Ken